he has a thyroid issue that leads to like harshness on the kidneys. So like every time we introduce a new form of water to him, it becomes his personality.
Oh, okay.
So like I recently indulged him in putting a snowball in his like food bowl so
Ooh.
for him to lick on.
Ooh.
Because he's mostly trained that like when it's daytime and I'm around, he will ask to get let out to go potty in the backyard.
Oh, okay.
And so anyways, like he just got obsessed with licking snow outside and is like, I don't want to leave the door open and like wait for him to come back in. So I'm just gonna make a snowball and put it in his food tray.
Aw.
And now he loves it. He's just like, this is the best thing ever. I'm gonna eat snow all day, every day.
That definitely sounds like cat behavior.
Yeah. No, I was just talking like we need to monetize him better.
Yeah.
Because every time you wake him up, he makes an insane sound that you've never heard a creature make before.
Yeah. I was gonna say we could do the same with my sister's cat. Very she's like very one of those cats, like if you give her too much attention, she's like, stop. But if you don't give her anything, she'll like passive aggressively like sit on you until you do, and then she has the chance to reject you, and then she's good. But my sister is the only person who can pick her up for like 2 minutes maximum, and then you start hearing it's like, all right, that's it. That's time. You're about to get clawed.
All right. Let me see. I did enjoy Randall McMandle's post about unifying U.S., Canada, U.S., and the Mexico into come. So I'm going
Yes.
to reblog that one and
Yes.
say live now.
Perfect. Thank you,
And
Randall.
is there a GIF that? Oh my God, that is just hardcore porn.
Oh yeah, you typed "come" in, didn't you? Good job, buddy. Yeah, let's type "come" into Tumblr and see what happens. That's gonna get a good result.
I haven't even typed anything. I'm just in like the GIF finder.
You just
And like the
open,
top
you just
thing.
click, it's all media, just dicks. Just man, I didn't even type anything.
No, I didn't even type anything in the GIF finder, and it's just like very oiled up tits. I'm like,
all right then.
okay, uh, okay, let's find something appropriate.
Yeah.
But also funny for Los Angeles getting destroyed. What was that rock movie where San Andreas?
There's San Andreas, and then the one GIF you reblogged was 2012, but San Andreas would also do it.
All right, I'm just gonna do GTA San Andreas.
That works. That works.
All right, here we go.
All right.
Reblogging.
While you're reblogging, I'm gonna throw the intro, and we'll kick it off. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Altar, episode 163. We started tonight discussing some cat things. I am adopting a cat on Sunday, and Max was discussing ways in which we can monetize his cat. I think we'll figure something out. We'll get him monetized. But outside of that, topics tonight.
Like having a kid with autism, right? Like, don't think of it as a challenge. Think of the ways to monetize it.
Exactly, yeah, man. Like, oh, right, Matt? If only you were here. Just kidding. So tonight, I suppose the big topic is Los Angeles is on fire. And while I really don't want anybody to get hurt or die or anything like that, it's kind of nice seeing Los Angeles on fire.
Well,
I'm not gonna lie.
to be fair, some people have died.
Okay, well that's not good. That's bad. We don't want that.
Yeah.
But
I missile launch. By the way, let's start early with the technical difficulties. Missile launch is saying your mic is quite tinny at the moment, which I kind of agree with. Is there some setting like to make it a little more full body or anything like that?
Maybe. Hang on. Oh, that was the wrong button. Oops. Sorry, guys. I hit my video button on my accessory tree.
Oh, okay.
All right, now I'm
We're
back.
bumping around.
We're bumping around. Let's time for the technical difficulties. Tinny, huh? Let's see.
Yeah, I mean, you got a nice mic. It should be a little more robust.
It should. Yes, it
Robust.
absolutely should. What if I input device? No, it's using the right microphone. What the fuck, man? Do I actually sound tinny? Like, do I sound just like distant and far away?
No, you sound normal, but like maybe the bass is just a little low. But if we can't fix it in 5 seconds, like you checked all the things you can check in 5 seconds, like let's just push on. I think
Yeah,
everybody can hear you.
yeah. I guess. Okay, I'll just get it closer to my face, I guess, and I'll
Yeah,
just
no,
really
eat the mic. Eat the mic.
eat the mic. Eat the mic. Just so yeah, I don't want anybody to die, but it's unfortunate that 7 people died already. But like, yeah, it's cool to see
It might
lots.
be more, but like there's probably plenty of missing people.
Oh yeah.
I mostly worry about with okay, there's not even like the property losses as much I worry about. I can launch into this for a minute because like I have a lot of family and most of my family's from California.
Oh.
And the thing is like what good the average home price in Palisades, California, which is where the main fire started. There's now like 5 different fires, right? What good is a $3.5 million house if it's in a neighborhood where the fire hydrants are empty?
Not
Is it really worth $3.5 million? Or are you living in a third world country?
at that point. You're living in a very, very flashy third world country, but it's okay
So
because we don't need running fire hydrants, and the fire chief is, really all about the DEI, and the mayor defunded the fire department last year to the tune of like, was it $15 million that got sent over to the
I've seen
LAPD?
conflicting reports about the funding and stuff like that.
I have
I,
this.
I could believe that they've cut it. I could believe that it's gone up and to no effect, basically.
I
Like,
have this video.
California is the quintessential example of like the most incompetent government that you could have while still having this facade, like having the momentum that allows you to have like a first world standard of living for like the elite, basically. It's just momentum though. That's the only thing going on in California is momentum.
Yeah.
They like the basic services when you don't have water in the pipes, when you can't keep the power on, like South Africanization is going to happen rapidly in California. And like the real estate is still prime in a sense. And it's like it's only like a few years of good management away from being like a beautiful place again.
But they just
But
can't
at
do
the
it.
same time, you're not, you can't turn this train around. They've been trying to build a high speed rail in California for decades.
I was gonna say, isn't it
And
something like 15 years now? Almost, they've been trying to do that, and they keep sinking money into it, and nothing happens. And
no, they hired the French engineers who built the TGV, and the engineers were like, it's literally so politically dysfunctional. We'd rather build high speed rail in North Africa
hell yeah,
than in California. That's a legit thing that happened.
I believe it.
And California has like their own medical care system, like, and they try to pretend that they have their own, like they're the liberal Texas, right? They want to be their own country, but at the same time they have the progressive inclination towards domination. So they can't actually succeed because they're like, oh, we're the only thing that like guarantees, or like we really weight that progressive majority or like the Democratic majority in Congress and Senate and on most presidential elections, right? It's just insane to me. that like there had to be a breaking point, and I think there's going to be a huge recalibration in home prices and incomes and where businesses are located, because it's like if you see that like you can't be LA by GDP. Let me look this up. You can stall for time for 5 seconds.
No, I was gonna say I do actually have a video of the mayor of Los Angeles getting like surprise interviewed by some journalist, and like it is on Fox, but it's not Fox that's doing the interview. But he's like, "How do you feel about being away on vacation while this is happening? How do you feel about people accusing you of defunding the fire department?" And she just kind of stands there and just like just waits for him to go on and like doesn't really answer the question at all. I don't think she says anything. Let's see if I can pull that up.
Okay, so here's some map porn.
Ooh.
And let me share this real quick. Yeah, and you can get ready to share that.
Oh yeah, I'll share mine if you share yours.
George Michael got hit by that hard, man. So can you see mine? Do you want to share it to the?
I got it up.
Okay. Countries with a GDP smaller than Los Angeles, California. Los Angeles has a GDP of 1.5 trillion USD this past calendar year. I don't know what year this is for, but it's probably still true. So Central America, Cuba, the Caribbean.
It's got to be actually kind of old. It still has
Brazil.
It still has Crimea as part of Ukraine, so it's got to be kind of old.
Yeah, maybe. I think a lot of map makers on Reddit probably
deny that happening. Yeah, okay,
yeah,
that's
deny
true.
that happening. All of Africa, any given country, including Egypt or South Africa, have a lower GDP than Los Angeles. Portugal, Switzerland, Belgium, the Netherlands, Ireland, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Finland, all of Eastern Europe and the Balkans, all of the Middle East, Central Asia, Mongolia, Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, Southeast Asia, Indonesia, Papua New Guinea, etc. New Zealand. This is a city in the United States. Okay,
that actually does kind of surprise me that the UK has more GDP than Los Angeles, because like what do they produce, really?
The UK?
Yeah. I'm sure they actually do. I'm trying to slander them, so like I know they do actually produce things, but like I don't know.
Okay, let's just think out loud for a second. British Petroleum.
Ah, right. That, yes. Okay. God damn it.
Harry Potter books.
Oh, fuck, yeah. All right, so British Oil, Harry Potter, transphobia.
I'm still struggling. The Bank of England.
Bank of England.
All the financial shit that comes out of London.
Greg's. Don't forget Greg's.
Tesco. So yeah, all those sausage pies and stuff like that.
Yep. All the kebab shops. That's a lot, actually.
Missile Launch is asking, how many times can California burn down? I was
as many times as it need.
As many times as we need to.
Yes.
I was looking up like what other great fires have occurred in like a major metropolitan city, because like in Colorado and Wyoming we're used to wildfires. It threatens small cities. It might threaten suburbs of various cities and stuff like that. There was like a big fire in Boulder a couple of years ago and stuff like that.
Utah too gets a pretty decent amount.
A few hundred homes or whatever.
Yeah.
Sorry?
No, I was gonna say Utah also gets a fair amount of wildfires. Like when it's dry,
Yeah.
we've been like
everywhere in the West.
We've been getting moisture bomb the past couple of years, so they've been very subdued. But the first like 2 years I moved in Utah, like 2019, 2020, we had some really, really bad ones. Like the west side of Utah Lake, the entirety of it almost went, and there's like this big city over there called Saratoga Springs, and like the fire was right up to the houses, and it came close. It came very close.
But so I was looking up though, like a great city, because Los Angeles has hosted the Olympics. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like multiple times, if I'm not mistaken. What great cities, have burnt to the ground? And it's like London last burnt down a significant portion in like the 1600s. And London's always had a lot of issues with fires because, before the 1600s and Henry the Great Some might call him Henry the Terrible because he
Mhm.
had 8 wives or whatever. But uh, so like a major metropolitan city that has a GDP larger than Egypt or South Africa or Turkey, having 50 square miles of it burnt down
You know
in a
what
single night,
actually does
or
kind of
not a
surprise
single
me
night, 3 nights or whatever.
about that map? Like Saudi Arabia, like the United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, like really rich oil countries still don't have a GDP higher.
Yeah.
That's something.
Yeah. Poland. I mean, yeah, Norway's a rich GDP, like oil country, and it's Western,
Mm-hmm.
right on top of that. Sweden, IKEA and Spotify and
Yeah.
Saab
Mm.
and uh, Volvo or whatever. There's some big companies here,
Yeah.
and yeah, LA is bigger than those. Okay,
Mm.
let me. I'll stop sharing here, and you
Okay.
can share
Yeah.
whatever thing you have.
Let me get that video here. Let's see here.
Wager on
right.
Volatilism says, "Oh, we're back. Did I miss something?"
Yeah, I accidentally hit a button on Streamlabs because of course why wouldn't I? So it went black for like 30 seconds and then we came back. What's new, guys? What's new? New Year, same old us. Would you expect anything different? Okay, here we go.
My New Year's resolution is to be more toxic than ever.
On that same flight
Not
coming
really.
back, and clearly
And we kind of talked about New Year's resolutions, didn't we?
We did a little bit. Hang on.
and,
On the last one.
And this moment.
I know we got
Do you owe
sidelined by
citizens an apology for being absent?
Cybersmith, just like
Yeah, he
going off.
like
Which
he
is
did
great.
well. He did well, but yeah, that was his episode. All right, here's the interview. Here it goes.
While their homes were burning? Do you regret cutting the fire department budget by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor? Have you nothing to say today? Have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today? Elon Musk says that you're utterly incompetent. Are you considering your position? Madam Mayor, have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today who are dealing with this disaster? No apology for them? Do you think you should have been visiting Ghana while this was unfolding back home?
Yeah, she just silently waits for the door to open so she can evade the journalist and not have to answer questions.
She, like I know she's just like playing dumb.
Yeah,
but it's really convincing.
It's very convincing. Yeah, like if this is an act, it's like this is Oscar worthy right here, man. It's like it's like she's
that's
like
the
her
main industry in LA, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. It's like her base processes are running, like, you know, like certain, like breathing, pumping blood. All higher brain functions are just like paused by her remote viewer. It's just, nope, you're not answering. You're on autopilot. You're just waiting for the door. You can just sit there. You can get yelled at, whatever, man. You're just
flying private.
That's a good question. Probably would have been an even worse look if she got off a private plane while LA is burning.
Okay, I get that, but also when you are the chief executive of a city, county that has a GDP larger than any given country in Africa, do you think
you'd
the
have a private
president
plane?
of South Africa rides on public planes?
Of course he does.
Like,
oh man,
I mean, I applaud the optics of it, but it's also like, it's kind of a joke, right? If she's such an important figure that she's invited to attend a presidential ceremony in Africa, in Ghana, all places, which like I don't get, like, why Ghana? Like, is she like related somehow? I mean, I get that she's African American of some sense, but like,
I mean,
I gotta look this up. I had a brain worm about Fulani trap houses that I had to make a post out of the other day. You liked that post.
Oh wait, hang on. Let me pull this up.
Karen Bass. That's her name. Yeah, what's her story? She's born in LA. Okay. That's better than most mayors of LA, I'm guessing. She volunteered for Kennedy's campaign. She was part of a pro-Cuban group that organized trips for Americans to Cuba. She went to San Diego State.
Where's her internship at the CIA? When was that?
Yeah, right.
Oh, that was Anderson Cooper. My bad. Anderson Cooper. My bad.
She's the first woman to be mayor of Los Angeles. I would have assumed they had one earlier, but
really, the first one.
That's interesting.
That is interesting. You think that would have been a priority?
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, fire hydrants are not. So
the thing is there's like some very, very rich people who had their houses burned down in this scenario, and it's not so much that they can't buy their shit back, maybe, at the end of the day. It's just they're gonna read into this stuff, because it's like when your house burns down and all your photos or whatever shit you had, they're gonna read into this and they're gonna be like, wait, like the fire hydrants literally didn't have water in them?
If they're even there. Sometimes the hydrants have literally been stolen off of the street and sold for scrap money. Like they jacked your hydrant, bro. You can't have shit in LA.
And the new Detroit.
It is. You can't have shit in LA, man.
So yeah, I don't. So it looks like it would make more sense to me if she was like the descendant of Ghana immigrants or something like that, and they were like, oh, let's invite the LA mayor who's a descendant of Ghana immigrants to attend the presidential ceremony in Ghana. And like, no, it's just like a diplomatic visit. Why is she conducting diplomacy on behalf of the U.S. when she's only a city official? Doesn't make sense. I don't get it.
Well, there's really only one thing we can say about that. And that's it.
Oh, okay. So okay, I'm predicting that there's going to be a massive reevaluation and revaluation of California real estate and company locations, because it's like patently obvious that you get absolutely nothing for your taxes.
Yeah.
In California. And then from there, there's going to be a massive sea change. Like they're already losing population, even though it's a beautiful place to live, right? And all you have to do is build some proper infrastructure for it, which like any other
But the
civilization could
infrastructure will
do.
just take care of itself. What we have to do is we have to take a bunch of money and we have to send it to either Ukraine or Israel. So, looking at these fires right now, I really hope Biden gets a support package together for billions of dollars and sends it to Ukraine and Israel to help out. I really, really hope that'll happen.
Well, that was kind of my observation. You and like my girlfriend both are from the East Coast, right? And you didn't grow up with like wildfires as a thing.
No, not really.
Like I grew up out west, and like wildfires were always a thing, and like I always said, or like the level of danger implied by like a wildfire was basically and can be as much as like firebombing from the U.S. Air Force, right? Because like like out here you can get these dry hot winds that are like 100 miles an hour, literally.
Yeah,
100 mile an hour like fire winds that
Shamal
like,
winds.
Well, they have they have all these names like Chinook or Santa Ana winds and stuff like that. And if I'm a nerd about atmospheric science, I have a degree in atmospheric science, so like I know these things, but and maybe most people don't, but there's like famous names to the winds in the West that like can fan fires up. And yeah, literally you can destroy a town just as easily as firebombing. And bring it back to your point, just like LA is getting firebombed right now, maybe by homeless arsonists living in the woods.
So there actually have been some reports. I've seen it on like Zero Hedge, so it's like things, but like supposedly there are like homeless people getting arrested starting fires in various places, and like it's happened before. Like in 2020, all of the wildfires that were happening in the West, some of them were caused by like weather and shit, like lightning strikes or just like the drought that was going on. But there were a lot of people getting arrested starting fires. A lot. And I don't know if it's the same thing or they just saw an opportunity and they were like, oh, these fucking rich neighborhoods are up, man. Let's fucking do it, man. Get the beer bottles, man. Like, I don't know, but they do seem to be taking direct action that leftists would probably normally support.
Okay, one last thing before we move on from the fire conversation is that like leftists have this religion of climate change, right? And it is predicated on the fact that like we have to pay more taxes to like make the climate better, because all these wildfires and these droughts and these floods and these hurricanes, they're all the result of us putting too much carbon into the atmosphere. And if we simply pay more taxes and emit less carbon, we will fix all of these things. Where like you've created this completely impossible scapegoat for what is like a very tenable goal, which is basic forest management and water management and readiness for like services like fire and police and for emergency medical and everything like that. Like these are all very attainable things that you can plan and organize in your community with like a few city council meetings,
like
if everybody's on the same page about them. But if everybody's like talking about like, oh, there's too much global carbon emissions, like you have a permanent scapegoat for the fact that you've never done a controlled burn behind like a residential area on the hills behind like all these places and stuff like that. And in a beautiful free market world, the insurance agencies who correctly predicted that these places were too at risk for fire, and they did not deny the people here insurance. They simply asked to raise rates, and the state of California imposed price caps and denied the people insurance for their homes by imposing price caps. That's the important thing to remember.
Well, at least they are safe from insurance companies raising their rates. That's what's important. Having fire insurance is not as important as being protected from higher rates, whether or not those higher rates are caused by the fact that California mismanages its forestry and wildlife like no other state, really. And like this is unfortunately like another dollar in the Trump was right jar, because they panned his ass for like his comment about raking the forests was, you know, a little like, it was a simple statement, but it's like, yeah, they don't. Like, they just don't take care of their forests. They don't take care of the wildlife. They do not take care of the land at all around like all of these major metropolitan areas. And it just sits there and rots. And the other thing too is like, imagine all of the garbage that's just out there in this area, in the like the woods and the grass fields, all of that shit just there, ready to go, help be an igniter. Like, how many toxic fumes are like actually in the air just from like the amount of fucking garbage?
Be fair, it's not like the toxic garbage mountains in India.
No, it's not. But it's L.A., man. Like, it's like
no, it's going to be gross. But what's sad is that I think the average voter in California is going to be like, "Oh, this is just more proof of climate change." And
yeah,
this
is Trump's fault.
We're going to blame this, or it's Trump's fault, even though we've had Democratic governorship for 30 years, and it's like that's exactly the amount of time that you need to mismanage a forest before you have a massive wildfire.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's just fucking stupid, and I hope that they either come to realize you don't have to vote for Republicans or whatever, but you've been taken for the longest ride I've ever seen of any electorate in the United States. They just keep selling you down the road, man. All these fucking projects, all the high-speed rail, the homelessness, the housing prices, the immigrant labor subsidies, the public health care program that they set up, the fucking now the wildfires and the power outages, and they're shutting down the power plants, and they're importing power from Wyoming. By the way, I was talking about insurance, I want to point out Wyoming is the only place in North America, only state in North America, I should say, that has a free market in home insurance, or in insurance in general.
Really?
There's no requirement to report rates or to cap them or to cap the changes or whatever, stuff like this. And actually, our rates are relatively low. We live in like wildfire and blizzard and flood and all these different kinds of areas in Wyoming. All these risks exist, but our risk is relatively low. Because we have good county management of those public spaces. For the most part, there's some places in my county that I like go on a hike through, and I'm like, why have you guys done a fucking controlled burn in here yet? And then there's other parts that are like way much better managed and stuff like that. And then, but also like our insurance companies can charge a market rate that covers their asses for what is going to happen. So nobody's denied coverage. We're not allowed, or we're not denied the ability to purchase coverage at a market rate, which is what happened in California. They cannot purchase insurance. They got dropped by the insurance company because they're like, we can't at the premiums you're paying, we cannot cover you. It's like, we know what the risk levels are and actuaries and stuff like that. It's another thing that I specialize in outside of atmospheric science is statistics. And
statistically racist Max, that's the moniker.
That's the moniker. And yeah, it makes total sense to me. Okay. that is all the thoughts I had wanted to share. But please close out.
No,
Any
I was
other
just gonna say,
final
like,
thoughts?
it's. I guess the question is going to be like, how much of LA needs to burn for there to be any sort of real change, and how California deals with it. And I really think all of LA could burn. I don't think it would change anything. Like it is ideology before anything else, and LA burning is just proof that like you said, like climate change is the biggest issue, and we need to keep on doing what we're doing and funnel more money towards that and hope for the best. But we do need to cover some of the other topics we were going to cover for this episode. And the real other big one, other than my cough, which has been here for 3 fucking weeks now, Trump is attempting, or at least humorously stating, that he is going to expand the United States. First it was Canada, and then it was Greenland, and now it's like there are jokes about Mexico and the Gulf of Mexico, and it's all very humorous, but I find it funny that people who are very much like, and I'm talking like really hardcore MAGA individuals, boomer cons, whatever have you, who are very much like, you know, immigrants out, Americans first. Why do you want to absorb 3 other countries, essentially, with all this entire population of people that is essentially going to, for the most part, vote against you? Why do you want this? Like, I understand it's funny to think about the greater American empire, or the, what was it? The CUM, what is the CUM abbreviation?
Canada, U.S., Mexico.
Canada, U.S., Mexico alliance. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's CUM is a lovely thought, but it's realistically, it works against you. You don't want 40 million Canadians who all supported Trudeau sort of suddenly having a say over what happens in U.S. politics. You don't want all of Mexico suddenly having a say over what happens in U.S. politics. I'd say the only real like tenable thing would be Greenland, just because the population is so low. But also, it's just like, what does it matter at that point? Like, Greenland is Denmark, Greenland is United States. Who gives a shit, man? Like, yeah.
Well, okay, so Greenland's population is 57,000 people.
Okay, so that's like a small, yeah.
They would be admitted as a territory, basically,
okay.
right? And I think having them as an autonomous territory would actually be completely sane to an American view.
They're like northern Puerto Rico at that point. So
yeah, it's northern Puerto Rico. They're not a state. They're totally self-governing. They get to figure out their shit internally, and I mean, it's a handful of fishing villages on the coast. But what it's really coming down to, or what the strategic thought is that is control over the Arctic, and as climate changes, Greenland is a huge resource of minerals that has never been tapped before because it's all locked under ice. So there's lots of rare earths. We're talking lithium, beryllium, molybdenum. We're talking gold, platinum, like rare precious metals, palladium, stuff like that. And then also fossil fuel resources, oil, coal, and then natural gas. And then off the coast is the fishing rights that come with all of Greenland, which, being a huge island, you get that exclusive fishing rights zone all around it. So I don't think it doesn't make sense to transfer, basically as a protectorate, Greenland from custody of Denmark, which has no hope of defending Greenland from like a Russian incursion or whatever, to the United States.
Yeah.
And we're both NATO members. I mean, like, there's some implication that we're going to invade Greenland. I think purchasing Greenland from Denmark makes a lot of sense.
Okay,
and
that's fair.
Keeping it as a territory, and they're not going to influence federal elections because they're just a territory.
Okay.
Right? It's the same way that Guam influences U.S. elections. right?
Mm-hmm.
Now Canada is the big question, right? Because Canada would be admitted for the most part as states.
Yeah.
But Nunavut and the Yukon probably would be just territories or whatever like that.
Mm-hmm.
Let me look up Canada population by province.
I feel like one thing
So-
that does need to be brought up about if Canada, I'm not saying I support this, but if Canada gets integrated into the U.S. as a series of states, there is the Quebec question that needs to be dealt with.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm French American. I'm descended from Quebecois, and I believe in Quebecois independence.
Mm.
And I don't think it would benefit America's political system to have Quebec as part of it.
No, well, what I
think
was going to
that-
say is either they need to like maintain their own independence and not be part of it, or Quebec needs to be physically removed, so to speak. One of the two.
Yeah, I would be happy. I think a surprising number of Quebecois, if you really put it to them, would be fine with returning to a relationship with France.
Mm.
France has plenty of overseas territories
Mm.
to this day, and there's no reason that Quebec can't be a self-governing overseas territory of France.
This is true, actually. And that would be one additional fuck you to the British. That would be nice.
Yeah, so okay, the territories, what are the territories? Like the political, there are 10 provinces and 3 territories. Okay, so the 3 territories, I believe, are, okay, that makes sense. Northwest Territories, the Yukon, and Nunavut, right? And each of those has a population under 50,000. So I think those would retain status as territories in the US if they were to get annexed, right?
Mm-hmm.
The provinces are a little more touchy, right? Now if you switched Quebec, we exclude Quebec and return it to the French, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Now the rest politically are not solidly like conservative outside of Alberta, basically.
I was going to say Alberta is like the one I can think of that would.
Alberta could be a U.S. state tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
and it'd be no integration issues, I think. Now the others are like a little bit of a thing, but somebody did an analysis, and like based on like rough polling that they do of Canadians, Trump would have still won the 2024 election if Canada was part of the U.S.
Fantastic. Make Canada great again.
I don't know that like it's necessary to like say like, oh, we're like undermining our own interests so much politically by incorporating Canada into the United States. I think especially if we have the immigration program that was advertised under the Trump campaign applied to Canada. And remember, Canada instantly gets the Second Amendment if they get annexed as well.
Ooh, that could get spicy.
It'd get really spicy fast. Now, people underestimate Canada on a regular basis, but remember there's a guy that like went on a rampage and killed like 20 people, and including like 5 cops like just a year or 2 ago.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Canada is the loyalist, like traditional conservative version of America that like went down this weird, like progressive, like we're not gonna shake the boat after getting taken over by like the Liberal Party basically, for 50 years. But prior to that, like Canada was a very conservative country, and the core Canadian, I think, is a very conservative person. They are monarchists at the end of the day, and the imported population, which it's insane to think that basically 1 in 25% of Canada is Indians right
Oh
now.
man, that's a wild statistic. 1 in 4?
It only happened in the last 7 years.
Oh
basically.
my god, 25% of the population. Holy
Yeah.
shit.
The average home price in Canada, I looked this up the other day because it's like, why are they in such a shit show right now? The average home price in Canada is like something like $750,000 US, and the average salary in Canada is $50,000.
Canada, what the fuck happened, man?
No, they've had a lost decade, an entire
Wow.
lost decade under Trudeau, where there's been zero economic growth, but housing prices have tripled. And they've imported a quarter of their population, 10 million people from India, basically to be delivery drivers and shit on the beach. So, there's a big case to be made that the average Canadian nationalist. So you go to Pierre Poilievre or something like that, and they're like, "Oh no, there's no chance that Canada could be annexed." But it's like, go to the average Canadian nationalist, and it's like, "No, we're already occupied by the globalists. There's no nation to defend at this point. Like, we're better off with America. Like, I would have a Second Amendment. I would be able to carry a gun, and I'd own normal guns again, and I could get rid of the criminals in my neighborhood, or I wouldn't feel threatened in my house. I could move south if I wanted to. All these things. I think if you really sell it correctly to the average Canadian, they would be on board, and the prospects of deporting a lot of the recent population of Canada would be very appealing as well, which I think could happen.
Yeah, that's true.
With Vivek in charge of or in the ear of President Trump, that might not happen as much.
When you mentioned Canadians being enthralled by the prospect of moving south, I immediately thought of the XO from The Hunt for Red October. I will have a recreational vehicle, and I will drive state to state with no papers. They allow you to do that, yes? No papers? No papers. State to state.
I will say I've had two Canadians marry into my family in the last 2 years.
They're trying to get out.
It was all to the southern border.
Yep.
It was never to move north. So, I mean, that's just a little anecdotal evidence, but the average die in the wool Canadian knows what's up. It's a post-national country.
This is going to be a hard segue, but you're familiar with the concept of passport bros, yes?
I am.
Okay, so this isn't
such a hard segue. I know where you're going with this.
We need an ad campaign to just convince all the passport bros to go to Canada. And if you think about where the Canadian economy is right now, the same bullshit you use to impress women in impoverished countries in South America or Southeast Asia would work on your average Canadian white woman at this point, I think. So I think there's an opportunity here for some passport bro activity that's a little bit closer to home. And I think it would benefit a lot of Canadian women to get the fuck out of Canada now that 25% of the population are, I am assuming too, most of the Indians that they imported over are probably men.
No, I made a Tumblr post about this. Canada now has a worse sex ratio than China or India.
That's right. That's absolutely right. I remember you posting that. Oh my God. Yeah, we need to save Canadian women, dude. The Alter Podcast encourages all passport bros to travel to Canada and find a nice Canadian white woman and marry her and bring her back to the States. This is your goal.
Just go on a Canadian road trip.
Exactly. You don't even need to fly, man. You can drive. You don't need your full passport. Get the passport card. It's very convenient. Just don't bring anything over the fucking border like a moron, and you're fine.
Don't be an idiot.
Don't be that guy.
Just go on a road trip. just plan to drop in at, and particularly target like rural Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And buy a big, like maybe 2 carts worth of groceries just to flex on everybody in that Target.
Well, they don't have Target there. They have, I forget what
Target.
what the
It's called
chain-
Target in Canada. Excuse me. Sorry.
Yeah. No, like go on like some
Tim
road
Hortons.
trip, like go visit like Glacier on the northern side in Alberta. Go to Calgary and Edmonton and maybe Regina. It's Regina, but I like to say Regina. And like I just cruise through and fucking like drop into every little gas station. There's probably some cute little blondes, Canadian gal who's working behind the counter or like stocking the shelves or something like that, and be like, "Oh, hey, what's your story? What is it?"
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I dropped my American citizenship card that I used to get back into my country of America. Sorry, just.
Beautiful stuff. Okay.
Beautiful stuff.
Let's see. Any other topics we were hoping to cover?
Let's see. Wager on voluntarism proves my Red October quote, I guess. Quebec question. Hold on. Yes. No, that's really like there's ongoing stuff with Trump. Like the Supreme Court just ruled something about his one of his court cases. Like I don't pay attention to his court cases anymore because they're all like they're all state level. Like the Georgia one's falling apart. Whatever's happening in New York, like even if they do something, they can't while he's serving as president. And like he will be sworn in 11 days. So it's like who I don't know. But hang on, let me see if I can find something about that. Or we can save that for next time. I'm sure there'll be more Trump developments. We'll save it. I don't give a shit. I don't care about Trump's court cases. I don't give a shit. It's all dog and pony bullshit.
Okay, I was just thinking about this today. Miss Launch was asking, when's Trump getting appointed, by the way? He's not
he doesn't get appointed. He gets sworn in as
he's
the president.
Inaugurated
on January 20th.
Yeah, January 20th. Which is MLK Day. Does it always line up like that?
No, it does not actually. That's a coincidence. That's interesting.
Yeah. Interesting.
I can't wait to see all of the Democrat attendees to his inauguration wearing dashikis. It's going to be wonderful.
Well, wait, okay. Today, did you see any of the little clips from the Carter funeral?
No, I saw Trump and Obama like palling around.
They were palling around, which I thought was funny.
The Babylon Bee posted this thing. It was like Trump and Obama separated at Jimmy Carter's funeral for being disorderly or disruptive or something like that. Like high school kids who won't shut up in class.
Let me see. I thought I saw there was an absolutely hilarious post. Okay, let me see if I can maximize this. Okay, I got this. Let me share this real quick.
Okay.
All right, let me see. Or can you see?
I can see. Yep, we're up. Ooh, good quality. Dude, it's a big fucking club and they're all in it and we are not. They shit talk each other and then behind the scenes, hey, what's up, big dog? Like come on.
Bush coming by and giving like the little belly tap. Like the only thing he could do more is do a little like nutsack tap.
Seriously?
But like he knows he's in a church, so he's like not gonna do
He probably thought he's like, I'm gonna go up, I'm a sack tap Obama. Oh wait, I'm in a church. This is a funeral. Hang on, belly tap. The only thing that would have been better if like Bush had dapped Obama up and done like some extra little like thing just real quick, just like Black Twitter just fucking erupting. I didn't know Bush was fucking down like that. Like, of course you would say that. Of course you would. But no, I would love to see Bush dapping up Obama, like in the smoothest way possible. That would be worth it. Well, Max, do you have any closing thoughts? Anything else you want to cover? We're coming up to the end here.
No. It's as you said, it's a big club and we're not in it.
Exactly.
I do expect things to be less apocalyptic under Trump than Harris. But
to a degree,
at the end of the day, like, business will continue.
Mhm.
But the thing is, like, you know, there's like these backdoor negotiations where it's like, we've decided that, like, that's the thing about like Greenland is like, oh, you know what? Russia's gonna get all of Eastern Ukraine and all their rare earth deposits, but like US gets Canada and Greenland.
Mhm.
And we're not gonna contest that one bit, or we'll nominally contest it, but we won't actually put up a fight or something like that. From China and Russia. Like, I could see that be something that's behind the doors, you know?
I could
And
see
it's not
that.
like maybe on net we benefit from this at the end of the day, but it's like we don't benefit in the same way that we would if like we were the actual people in charge. This is just like,
Yeah, like if I ran an electric vehicle battery
this is just
production
a-
company, I would love the acquisition of Greenland.
yeah, I mean, yeah, you do your closing thoughts. Let me look up mineral wealth of Greenland.
So I guess the only closing thought I had, it was just a little aside. I did see a news article, or I don't know who it was. It was some like senior individual in like the European Union made some comment that if like the United States invades Greenland, that like the EU would stop the US and all of this shit. And I'm just like, outside of economic sanctions, like, please try. Like, I don't want anybody to die, but like, they would just be so entertaining watching the European Union attempting to stop the United States from like I would hope, again, Max, like you said, like we would purchase Greenland from Denmark, would such a thing happen, and it would just be like a legal trade for money, and not us actually like deploying paratroopers in these fishing villages and like putting up anti-air units and submarine nets and going, okay, this is now the United States in the same way that Crimea is now part of Russia, and if you have a problem with that, we shoot down our own aircraft, we'll shoot down yours, I guess. Like, I don't want to see that, but if that were to happen and the EU were to try some shit, I think it would be interesting to see what the EU would do without the US serving as like the skeletal and muscular and endocrine systems of the military body. If they had to do it all themselves, it would be very, very funny to see. Did you find that Greenland factoid yet?
I've worked with several people who've done scientific research in Greenland before, and I was close to doing my own expedition or getting to go on an expedition to Greenland. And like this was something that people have always talked about, like with under the ice of Greenland is just an unimaginable amount of wealth. Like when we drill ice core samples for atmospheric science purposes and climate science purposes.
Also searching for the thing organism.
Yeah. We get down and they also drill into the bedrock and see what's there. And Greenland has not had human activity on it for up until 1,000 years ago, period. So they just have an insane amount under there. It's a huge island at the end of the day. And I cannot find like a dollar amount because I think they just don't actually know, but like you scratch an average rock and you find, weird shit like yttrium and scandium and neodymium and dysprosium and stuff like that. You're just like, it's
That's wild.
yeah, it's really cool. I mean, Greenland also has a surprising amount of like meteorite impacts on it and stuff like that. It could be Ultima Thule, is what I'm getting at. Ultima Thule?
I actually need to look this up. I am not familiar with Ultima Thule.
Uh, it's the Hyperborean north.
Oh, okay.
So
Interesting.
Ultima Thule is a legendary island of the far north described by the Greek traveler Pytheas. It was the capital city of the kingdom of Hyperborea. And it was associated with Greenland or Iceland.
Fun fact,
see.
the northernmost United States Air Force Base is called Thule Air Force Base. And that Air Force Base was actually transferred to control of the Space Force on April 6th, 2023.
Yeah, there's already U.S. military bases in Greenland and stuff like that.
Which is interesting. The Space Force has a base named after a Hyperborean capital. We're several levels deep here.
I love the memes of Baron Trump as
Yeah. My
as
snow
like
dude.
my snow dune, my Greenland.
Oh, what timeline are we even on anyway, man?
I always am hoping that we're entering like you never can tell, but like sometimes you just like crab walk into like this parallel reality where like there's this sudden shift, right? And like the non-assassination of Trump where it like went just through his ear. That was a crab walk into another reality.
That really was.
It's so like nothing ever happens, but I'm also completely prepared for shit to get really weird.
Like, again, we are going to work tomorrow, but we are prepared should the day come where we get that notification. Oh, no, guys, you're staying home. It's like, oh, then something's happening. But, well, I mean, we did kind of, I don't know about you, but I kind of did have that happen when COVID hit. I feel like a lot of people did. That was the one true, like, oh, it's actually happening. We're not going to work tomorrow. This is, uh-oh, okay, let's see what happens. That was the first real one I think really anybody's, like, unless you've been in like some sort of like a hurricane or a bad like weather event where they like declare a state of emergency and you're just home for the day, which you could say that's a happening to a degree, but I mean seriously, like the entire country, nobody's going to work because it's just gotten to the point where shit is happening. That's when you know.
I would say if there's one thing to prepare for, I would say put yourself in a position where if you were asked tomorrow to go on an expedition to the poles of the earth, you could say yes. That is the next frontier. All right? And our ancestors would kill for this opportunity. We are a nation founded by pioneers and explorers and warriors and poets and philosophers, and nothing ever happens. But if you got that knock at the door, if Gandalf came and said you want a great adventure, be ready for it.
And I think that is what we'll close the episode on. That is an excellent way to end it. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for joining us for another lovely episode of The Altar. We do hope you're ready for it whenever it comes. But until then, just remember to stay safe. And always, always remember, taxation's theft.